Hi everyone, welcome to today's listening exercise, part 3, or third episode. The story you're about to hear is designed to help you train your listening skills. Listen carefully, and don't worry if you don't understand everything at first. You can repeat it as many times as you need. Listen, sleep with it, and come back to it again. For even better results, try writing down the key points every 3 minutes. This will help you remember the story and really understand it. So, get comfortable, focus, and enjoy the story. Let's start training your listening skills. A new beginning. Daniel opened the gates of Riverside High for the third time in his life. The big building looked the same as always, but something felt different inside him. He was no longer the boy who walked in with eyes on the ground and fear in his chest. He was older now, a little taller, his voice a little stronger, and his heart a little braver. Still, the morning air made his stomach shake. The halls were loud with students greeting each other after summer. Some looked taller, some looked more confident, and some already seemed busy with books and schedules. Daniel found Emma near the lockers. She smiled brightly. "Ready for another year?" He smiled back, though his hands were sweaty. "I think so. It feels different." Emma nodded. "It is different. We're not the new kids anymore. Teachers expect more from us now." Soon Lily and Sophia joined them, and for a moment, Daniel felt warmth. He wasn't invisible anymore. He had friends, people who noticed when he walked in. But then Jason appeared at the other end of the hall, joking loudly with his group. Daniel froze for a second, remembering all the old bullying, but this time Jason only gave him a short nod. Not friendly, not mean, just different. Something inside Daniel whispered, "This year will test you in new ways." Academic pressure. The first classes of the year made everyone realize how serious things had become. Teachers kept repeating the same message. "This year is important. Your exams will shape your future. Start preparing now." Daniel tried to listen, but his mind filled with worry. At night, he opened his books and stared at the pages. Numbers danced in math problems. Long words in English confused him. He whispered to himself, "I can't fail. I have to do better this year." One evening, Emma called him. "Daniel, let's study together. It'll be easier if we help each other." Daniel hesitated, afraid of looking stupid. But when he agreed and sat across from Emma in the library, something changed. She explained things with patience, and Daniel realized he could actually understand more than he thought. Still, his heart raced. Not only because of the lessons, but because of Emma's gentle smile every time he got an answer right. A leadership offer. A week later, Mr. Carter asked Daniel to stay after class. Daniel's chest tightened. Had he done something wrong? "Daniel," Mr. Carter said warmly, "I've seen you grow these past years. I think you should consider running for student council." Daniel's eyes went wide. "Me? But I'm not a leader. People don't listen to me." Mr. Carter leaned forward. "People listen when you speak from the heart. Remember your speech last year? You surprised everyone, even yourself. Leadership isn't about being the loudest, it's about caring." Daniel didn't know what to say. His mind screamed no, but a small voice whispered maybe. Later that day, he told his friends. Lily clapped her hands. "That's amazing. You should do it." Sophia nodded. "You'd be great." Emma smiled softly. "I think you'd inspire people." Before Daniel could reply, Jason walked by and smirked. Student council, huh? Maybe I'll run too. Let's see if people really want you. The challenge was clear. Campaign struggles. Running for student council was harder than Daniel imagined. He had to design posters, talk to classmates, and explain why they should vote for him. Every time he stood in the hallway with his flyers, his throat dried up. His hands shook as he offered them to students who barely looked at him. Jason, on the other hand, seemed like a natural. He told jokes, laughed loudly, and promised fun school events. People gathered around him easily. Daniel felt small next to him. But he wasn't alone. Sophia stayed up late helping him design simple but honest posters. Emma walked with him, introducing him to students. Lily encouraged him. Don't try to be Jason. Be Daniel. People like you for who you are. Slowly, Daniel began to speak in his own way. Instead of making big promises, he told students he wanted to listen to make their school a kinder place. Some nodded, some even smiled. And Daniel realized, maybe honesty was stronger than loudness. The election speech. The day of the election speech arrived. The gym was packed with students, all buzzing with excitement. Daniel's knees shook as he walked onto the stage. Jason had gone before him, making everyone laugh with jokes and promises of pizza parties. The crowd cheered loudly. Now it was Daniel's turn. He stood at the microphone, heart pounding. For a moment, his mind went blank. He saw rows of faces staring, some bored, some curious, some waiting to laugh. He closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and remembered Mr. Carter's words. Speak from the heart. When he opened his eyes, his voice was soft but steady. I know I'm not the loudest person in this school. I know I'm not the funniest either. But I believe every student here deserves to be heard. I used to be invisible. I used to sit in the corner, afraid to speak. But I learned something important. You don't have to be loud to matter. You just have to care. The gym grew quiet. Students leaned forward. Daniel continued. If you vote for me, I won't promise you pizza every Friday, but I promise to listen. I promise to care about your ideas, your worries, your dreams, because every voice in this school deserves respect. When he finished, the gym burst into applause. Not as wild as Jason's cheers, but real, steady, respectful. Daniel walked off the stage, chest pounding, but this time not with fear, with pride. First council meeting, Daniel held the small slip of paper with his election results. His hands still trembled, not from fear this time, but from disbelief. He had won a seat on the student council. Not president, not vice president, but still, he was in. He was part of something big. The first meeting was after school on a Tuesday. Daniel walked into the council room and saw a circle of desks. The president, a tall senior named Maya, smiled at him. Welcome, Daniel. Congratulations. Around the room, other students nodded. They all seemed so confident. They spoke with strong voices, using words like agenda and budget and proposals. Daniel sat quietly at first, trying to follow. His heart raced as the voices bounced around him, each one louder and sharper than his own. Maya noticed. Daniel, what do you think? She asked gently. Everyone turned to him. His mind went blank. He wanted to shrink into his chair. But then he remembered his campaign promise, to listen and to care. Slowly, Daniel said, I think maybe we should ask students what they really want before we decide everything here. Like more surveys, more questions, so people feel part of the choices. There was a pause. Then Maya smiled. That's a good idea. Thank you, Daniel. The meeting went on, but Daniel felt a spark of confidence. He hadn't spoken much, but his voice had mattered. Exams and stress. As the weeks passed, schoolwork grew heavier. Teachers gave more assignments, more readings, more warnings about exams. Daniel tried to keep up, but the weight pressed on him. At lunch, Emma spread out her notes. We need a plan. If we review 2 subjects every day, we'll be ready. Lily groaned. 2 subjects every day? That's torture. Sophia added, It's necessary. We can't risk falling behind. The group agreed to study together, but it wasn't easy. Nights at the library stretched long. Daniel's head ached from words and numbers. Lily grew restless, tapping her pen, while Sophia pushed for more focus. Emma stayed calm, explaining problems again and again. One night, after hours of silence, Lily exploded. We're not machines. I can't sit here forever. Sophia frowned. Then maybe you don't care about your future enough. The words cut deep. Daniel tried to calm them, but his voice was too soft. The fight ended with Lily storming out, Sophia burying herself in books, and Emma sighing. Daniel sat there exhausted, wondering how to keep his friends close while surviving exams. A heartbeat moment. One evening, Daniel and Emma stayed late in the library. Lily had gone home early, Sophia was busy, so it was just the 2 of them. The quiet felt different, warmer, yet more intense. Emma leaned over to explain a math problem. Their heads almost touched. Daniel's heart beat so fast he thought she could hear it. He nodded, pretending to understand, though his mind was not on the numbers. After finishing, Emma closed her book and looked at him. You've changed, Daniel. You're not the same boy from our first year. You speak more, you try harder, you shine more. Daniel's throat tightened. He wanted to say, It's because of you. You believed in me, but fear locked his lips. Instead, he whispered, I'm trying. Emma smiled, soft and kind. For a moment, silence filled the space between them, not empty but heavy with something unspoken. Daniel knew what it was. He knew his feelings were deeper now, but he also knew saying it out loud could change everything. And he wasn't ready. Not yet. Jason's change. Jason had been quieter lately. He still joked, still teased, but the sharp edge of cruelty was fading. One afternoon during debate club, he pulled Daniel aside. Hey, Jason muttered, scratching his neck. I wanted to say you were good in that election speech. Daniel blinked. You're complimenting me? Jason shrugged. Don't make it weird. I'm just saying, you surprised me. They stood awkwardly for a moment, then Jason sighed. Look, things at home have been rough. My dad's been not around much. My mom works all the time. Sometimes I just act out. It's easier to be the funny guy than the weak one, you know? Daniel didn't know what to say. He had always seen Jason as the loud bully, the enemy. Now he saw something else, a boy hiding pain. I get it, Daniel said softly. It's hard to feel small. Jason looked at him, surprised. For once, there was no smirk, no joke, just honesty. Yeah, exactly. That day, their rivalry shifted. It wasn't friendship, not yet, but it was something new, respect. The school festival. The student council announced a big fall festival. It was Daniel's first big project as a council member. He worked on planning games, music, and food stalls. It was exciting, but also exhausting. The day of the festival arrived with bright banners, colorful balloons, and crowds of excited students. At first, everything went well. Laughter filled the air, music played, and stalls sold snacks. Then problems started. The sound system broke. Two clubs argued about space. A delivery of supplies was late. Maya, the president, looked overwhelmed. Daniel felt panic rise. But then he remembered all the nights of study, all the times he had faced fear. He took a deep breath and stepped forward. Let's move the music outside. Use the smaller speakers and split the space. Half for each club, he said firmly. Students looked at him, surprised, but they listened. Slowly things calmed. The music returned, the games restarted, and laughter filled the air again. By evening, the festival was alive and joyful. Daniel stood near the food stalls, watching students enjoy themselves. Maya approached and patted his shoulder. Good work today. You kept things together. Daniel smiled, tired but proud. He had stepped up, he had led. And for the first time, he believed maybe he could be a leader after all. Friendship conflicts return. The festival had been a success, but not everything in Daniel's world was shining. Slowly, he began to notice the cracks between his friends. Lily had grown distant. She still smiled, but sometimes her eyes followed Emma and Daniel with a heaviness that Daniel didn't understand at first. Sophia, too, seemed less present. She often excused herself from group study sessions, saying she was busy, but her voice carried a note of disappointment. One afternoon after class, Lily pulled Daniel aside. You've been spending so much time with Emma. It's like you forget I exist. Daniel's chest tightened. Lily, no, I haven't. She interrupted, her tone sharp but fragile. You used to talk to me about everything. Now I feel like I'm just extra. Before Daniel could respond, Sophia appeared, crossing her arms. Maybe it's not just Lily. Maybe you should think about how much you lean on Emma. You have more than one friend, Daniel. The words stung. He wanted to defend himself, but the truth was there. He had grown closer to Emma, and maybe without realizing, he had left others in the shadow. That night, Daniel sat in his room, staring at his notebook. He wanted to be a good friend to everyone, but his heart was confused. How could he balance it all? The confession weeks passed, and Daniel carried the weight of his friend's feelings. But inside him, something else pressed harder. His growing emotions for Emma. One evening, they sat together after a long study session. The library was empty, the lamps casting warm light on their tired faces. Emma looked at him with her gentle smile, and Daniel felt the words rising inside him. Say it. Tell her. Don't hide anymore. His palms sweated, his throat tightened, but this time he didn't stop himself. He whispered, voice trembling, Emma, I like you. Not just as a friend. More than that. The silence that followed felt like forever. Emma's eyes widened, her breath caught. Then she placed a hand on his. Daniel, I didn't expect you to say that. Her voice was soft, almost careful. You mean a lot to me. You've grown so much. You're brave to tell me this. Daniel's heart soared, but Emma continued, I need time to think. I don't want to hurt you. Our friendship is important, and I don't want to lose it. It wasn't a yes. It wasn't a no. It was something fragile, something real. Daniel nodded, his chest both heavy and light. For the first time, he had spoken his heart. Block 48, the big exams. As winter faded, the final exams arrived. The pressure was enormous. The library was full of students every day. Books open, pens scratching, nerves growing. Daniel studied harder than ever before. He reviewed notes with Emma, argued with Sophia about schedules, and even shared flashcards with Jason, who surprisingly helped instead of mocked. Lily joined sometimes, though the air between her and Daniel was still tense. The night before the first exam, Daniel sat at his desk at home, staring at his notes. His head buzzed, his heart pounded. "What if I fail?" he whispered to himself. "What if everything I did this year means nothing?" But then he remembered the festival, the council meetings, the speeches. He remembered Emma's hand on his, Sophia's late-night encouragements, Lily's honest words, Jason's surprising respect. "I'm not the same boy anymore," Daniel whispered. "I can do this." The exams were tough. Some questions felt impossible. His pen trembled, his mind raced, but he breathed, focused, and wrote. Each test left him exhausted, but not broken. When results came weeks later, Daniel's hands shook as he opened the envelope. His eyes widened. He had passed, not perfectly but strongly. Relief and pride filled him. End-of-year reflection. The last days of the school year felt lighter, though bittersweet. Students laughed in hallways, cleaned out lockers, and made plans for summer. The student council held a small celebration. Maya thanked everyone, handing out certificates. When she gave Daniel his, she said, "You proved that leadership isn't about being loud, it's about caring. You've been an example." Daniel's cheeks burned, but he smiled. Later, sitting under a tree with his friends, he looked at them one by one. Emma, reading a book with calm focus. Lily, laughing at a joke but still glancing at him from time to time. Sophia, sketching in her notebook, her mind always creative. Jason, throwing a ball with other boys, but now less of a stranger, more of a human being. Daniel thought about the boy he had been, the one who couldn't look people in the eye, who froze at every word. That boy was still inside him, but now he was walking beside a new Daniel, one who dared to stand, to speak, to try. Looking toward the future, summer came. The classrooms emptied, the books closed, and the warm air filled with possibilities. Daniel sat in his room, staring out the window at the bright sky. His mind replayed the year, the council election, the festival, the exams, Emma's soft words after his confession. It had been a year of fear, struggle, and growth. He didn't know what Emma's final answer would be, or how his friendships would settle, but he knew one thing. He was ready for the future. His final year of high school was waiting. More challenges, more choices, more chances to step out of the shadows. Daniel smiled to himself. "I'm not just the shy boy anymore. I'm Daniel, and I'm still becoming who I'm meant to be." And with that thought, he closed his notebook and stepped into the sunshine, ready for whatever came next. The first day of senior year. Daniel stood at the front gate of Riverside High once again. The red brick walls looked the same. The tall trees gave the same shade, but the feeling in his chest was very different this time. It was his last first day here. Senior year. The final chapter. He took a deep breath. He was taller now, his voice deeper, and his steps more steady. He remembered the boy who had entered the same gates 3 years earlier. Shy, nervous, afraid of even saying hello. That boy still lived inside him, but he was no longer in control. Daniel had grown, little by little, through every challenge, every small act of courage. Emma ran up beside him, smiling wide. "Ready for our last year, Daniel?" she asked. Her hair shone under the morning sun, and her eyes sparkled with excitement. Lily appeared soon after, carrying her books. "Don't remind me," she said, rolling her eyes. "I don't want this year to end." Sophia joined them too, more confident than ever. She had transferred last year, but now she was part of the group, part of the story. And then Jason came walking behind them. He was different too, taller, quieter, his eyes less sharp than before. He didn't make a joke, he didn't push anyone. He just nodded. The teachers welcomed everyone in the auditorium. "This is your final year," Principal Harris said. "A year of exams, decisions, and memories you will carry forever." The word final rang in Daniel's head. He knew every test, every project, every walk in these halls would mean more this time. It wasn't just another year, it was the year. Senior responsibilities. In September, Mr. Carter surprised Daniel with an announcement. "Daniel, the student council would like you to join as a class representative." Daniel blinked. "Me? Why me?" "You've shown leadership," Mr. Carter said kindly. "The council needs voices like yours. You don't need to be the loudest. You need to be steady." Daniel's heart raced. Student council meant meetings, events, speaking in front of others. His shy side screamed no, but Emma whispered, "Say yes. You're ready." So he nodded. "Okay, I'll try." At the first meeting, Daniel sat among seniors he barely knew. The president of the council, Maya, asked for ideas for the cultural festival. Hands shot up, voices overlapped. Daniel stayed silent, his fingers tapping his pen. Finally, Maya looked at him. "Daniel, do you have a thought?" Everyone turned. The old Daniel would have looked down, but now, even with fear, he cleared his throat. "Maybe we could add something simple, like a corner for shy students to share art or writing. Not everyone likes the stage, but they still want to be part of the festival." There was silence. Then Maya smiled. "That's a great idea. Let's note it down." Daniel exhaled slowly. His first step as a leader had begun. A new rival appears. A week later, the class buzzed with news. A new student had joined Riverside High. His name was Ethan. From the first day, Ethan drew attention. He was tall, confident, and always smiling. Teachers praised his answers, students laughed at his jokes. Even Jason, usually sarcastic, gave him respect. Daniel noticed something else. Ethan talked to Emma a lot. He asked her questions in class, walked beside her in the hall, and smiled in a way that made Daniel's stomach twist. At lunch, Sophia leaned close to Daniel. "Looks like you have competition." "Competition? For what?" Daniel asked, pretending not to understand. Sophia smirked. "Don't play. For Emma, of course." Daniel looked away. He had never said it out loud, but everyone knew his feelings for Emma. And now, Ethan's shadow fell across those feelings. One afternoon, Ethan joined their group. "So, Emma," he said with easy charm, "are you joining the music club again? Maybe we could do a duet." Emma laughed politely. "Maybe." Daniel stayed quiet. His chest tightened, not with shyness, but with jealousy. It was a new kind of battle, one he didn't know how to fight. The college question. In October, the teachers began serious talks about the future. "You must start thinking about universities and colleges," Principal Harris said. "Applications will open soon." Daniel felt the weight of the words. College. The future. Leaving Riverside High, leaving this safe world of friends and classrooms, where would he go? At dinner, his parents asked the same question. "Daniel, do you want to stay near home or explore a big city?" his father asked. I don't know," Daniel admitted. His mind spun. Part of him wanted to stay with Emma, Lily, Sophia. Another part of him wanted to test his courage in a new place, far from the past. Emma, when asked, said she dreamed of studying literature in another city. Lily wasn't sure yet. Sophia wanted something in science. For Daniel, the choice felt like standing at a crossroad. He feared taking the wrong path. He feared leaving his friends. He feared being alone again. That night, he lay awake staring at the ceiling. The boy who once feared saying hello now had to decide his whole future. The stakes had never been higher. Jason's secret. One evening after a long study session in the library, Daniel noticed Jason sitting alone. His usual smirk was gone. His eyes were heavy. Daniel hesitated, then sat down. "You okay?" Jason sighed. "No, not really. My dad lost his job. Things at home are bad. I might not even stay here after graduation." Daniel was stunned. Jason, the boy who had teased him, the boy who seemed so strong, now looked small and tired. "I'm scared," Jason admitted quietly. "What if I fail exams? What if I can't help my family?" For the first time, Daniel saw Jason not as a rival but as a person carrying pain. He wanted to say the right thing, but words felt weak. Finally he said, "You're not alone. If you need help, I'll study with you. We'll face this year together." Jason looked at him in surprise. Then slowly he nodded. "Thanks, Daniel." That night, Daniel walked home with a heavy heart. Senior year wasn't just about his own future anymore. Everyone carried battles unseen. And maybe part of growing up was learning to carry each other too. This is the end for today's video. Thank you so much for staying with me until the very end of this story. I truly appreciate your time and energy. But don't stop here. Part 4 will be coming soon, so keep listening and learning with me. Remember, the only way to grow in English is to keep practicing every day. See you in the next part.